We're back now with the panel. Before we get to the politics, Britt, does this accident in the Gulf change your mind at all about the wisdom of offshore drilling, and especially more offshore drilling?
No, it doesn't, but I think this. Think about what the environmentalists have always said about this, is it's not a matter of if there'll be a disaster of some kind resulting in this kind of offshore drilling. It's only a matter of when. This verifies that argument and becomes a powerful factor in the debate over what to do next. I don't see any way around the political reality that this will set back the cause of offshore drilling in the United States, and will set back the cause of making us less dependent on oil brought in from overseas, for which we pay out of our national treasure tons of money to foreign countries. I don't see any way that this avoids that.
Certainly not in the near term. I think there was a national consensus that we should do everything, that we should have every possible kind of energy that's generated here. But yeah, I mean, we want to make sure it's safe, and you know, these new oil drilling is not going to go forward until they can make sure that it is. I think that the kind of cavalier drill, baby, drill, you know, go right forward, that's definitely going to be put on ice for a while, but I don't think it's going to disappear completely.
You know, it's interesting, Bill, because I looked into it. There's no question that oil drilling safety has improved dramatically over the years. Take a look at these figures. Between 1973 and 1990, an average of 11.8 million gallons of oil spilled each year into U.S. waters from a variety of reasons. Since then, the average has dropped to 1.5 million gallons a year. But in its exploration plan for this well, BP sent in a filing to the government last year, Bill, said that a spill was unlikely, and even if it happened, quote, no significant adverse impact was expected. It turned out to be wrong.
BP turned out to be wrong. The government turned out to be wrong. The Interior Department's Minerals Management Service, which supervises offshore drilling, was going to give this BP unit a safety award next week. They canceled the ceremony here at the Interior Department in Washington. So, look, it was a bad accident. But the fact is, I think we get something like 1/3 of our domestic oil from the Gulf, from offshore drilling in the Gulf. We need it, and we can't cut back on it. Incidentally, if we hadn't stopped closer in drilling after the Santa Barbara accident 40 years ago, we've had these congressional restrictions until 2008 for 40 years, we'd have a lot more drilling closer in, which is probably less dangerous, less treacherous than trying to drill 50 miles out from the coast. And incidentally, if we wanted to have some onshore drilling, there's this thing called ANWR up in Alaska, which is right there. It's not, there are no waves, there's no ocean. It's right there, perfectly easy to drill, a lot of oil there. So I'm a drill, baby, drill person, and I actually think the public is going to be sensible enough to say, fine, let's look at what happened. Let's make sure that oil companies have appropriate emergency things in place to stop the thing, if they can, from exploding further after it explodes, so to speak. But I don't think the public's going to react in some horror and shut down offshore drilling.
But when the fail-safe mechanism doesn't fails, isn't that a little bit of a concern?
It is a little bit of a concern, but you know, we haven't built a nuclear power plant in this country for 30 years after 3 Mile Island. And everyone agrees now, including environmentalists, that that was a wild overreaction. So this notion that you shut everything down because there's an accident, and in this case an accident that cost 11 lives and is going to do some environmental damage, I think we can deal with that in a serious way and not panic.